Welcome to Gatsby Lesson 2. Here is where you will find everything you need to know about doing this lesson virtually. So, Lesson 2, the first thing you're going to do is preview the culminating writing task. That is a Google Doc assignment. So, you'll come down and we'll click the link to go to Google Classroom. And let's see, we are A's at home today. There will be an assignment titled Culminating Writing Task Preview. And what you will need to do is click on the document and you are going to fill out the questions that are on the document. Now, your culminating writing task, when it loads, today, possibly. There it is. Your culminating writing task. What is the theme about perception that Fitzgerald develops throughout the novel? How does he develop that theme? So that is your basic culminating writing task prompt. What is the theme about perception? So we talked about perception yesterday. We watched the video with Isaac Lidsky, the guy who lost his sight, and he talked about perception as well. The explanation: write a literary analysis in which you state your response and logically and sufficiently support your response with claims. Support your claims with textual evidence, including direct quotes and parenthetical quotations. Use correct words, phrases, grammar, all that good stuff. So it says be sure to determine the theme, determine what Fitzgerald used to develop the theme, how he develops that theme, and support your analysis with details from the text. Your goal today is to break down this prompt. Your first question: what is the focus? As in, what do you already know about that focus? So, what are you going to do? What is the focus of this task? Think about perception. Number 2, what questions do you have about the culminating task? These are just questions you have. You have to put a question. 3, what do you need to know to be successful when you complete this task? When you do number 3, think about these be sure tos. Number 4, what skills do you need to build in the guidebook unit to be successful? Think about skills like finding evidence, stating claims, stuff like that. And then number 5, what habits do you need to practice in the guidebook unit to be successful when you complete the culminating task? So what are some things that you need to practice, as in finding evidence, knowing theme, writing a theme? These are the things that you need to practice. After you finish with this assignment, make sure you click Turn In on Google Classroom. Then you will come back to the website and you are going to watch the talk through of pages 1 through 4 for Gatsby. Now, here's the video, and I talk through and annotate. What you will do with your sticky notes is put sticky notes to annotate, since you can't write in the book. So, where I annotate, you would want to put a sticky note and make a note on that sticky note. Now, continuing on. We're going to talk about World War I. Now, World War I occurred between July 28th, 1914 and November 11th, 1918. You're going to need to have this information for the next slide. The next slide, we're going to talk about the lost generation. You're going to click on this link right here, and it is going to bring you to the Encyclopedia Britannica definition of the lost generation. You'll read through this. Basically, it's a group of American writers who came of age during World War I, meaning they established their reputation in the 20s, so they were evolving their writing career during World War I. Also used for the post-World War I generation. Now, they're lost in the sense that its inherited values were no longer relevant in the post-war world, and because of its spiritual alienation from the United States, basically it's a time of change, and these people the lost generation don't really fit in with the old style of doing things, but then they're trying to find the new style of doing things as well. And here are some writers who wrote during the lost generation, and there's some good information here. Now, there's also a change in writing during the lost generation in that they talk more openly about the world around them. So once you view that, you'll come back to the site, and here's some questions. So how was World War One related to the Lost Generation? You need to remember these people were building their writing career during the war, and they were really successful right after the war. So the war is affecting a lot of what they're writing. It's kind of that's their inspiration. The lost generation, these are the people that are technically quote unquote lost in that they don't really fit in. They're kind of floundering around between the post World War ideals and then the pre World War ideals and then the post World War ideals. And then which authors were part of that generation, you can find that in the website. Moving on. Now, we're going to do this before you start reading. One thing we know about F. Scott Fitzgerald, I encourage you to Google this. There's a plethora of information about him. He is part of the lost generation. He was an alcoholic. He partied a lot, but he also had some great fiction. Now, The Great Gatsby was published in 1925. What is one thing you know about that time period when the text was published? So, a couple of things. One, we have the height of the Lost Generation text. Two, we have the Roaring Twenties, and you're going to see that in this book over and over and over again. Three, we want to note that a lot of people are losing the sense for the American dream, and you're going to see that present throughout this book as well. Okay, and then again, you'll watch that video to go through pages 1 through 4 and annotate with your sticky notes while you watch the video. And then some questions for thought, the narrative structure of the book. This is a first person narrative, meaning the one character is narrating this whole book. They are literally talking to us. It's as if they are writing this, like telling us a story. That means that things are going to be skewed. We are only going to get one person's point of view in the way they see and view things, their perception, if you will. Now, what do we know about the narrator? There's a couple of key items to note about the narrator, and those are found in the annotation video as well. So that is lesson 2. I hope you enjoy. Gatsby's my favorite,